Okay, so we got the plate on. Now remember, with your generator sitting in the car like such, the cooling hole has to be in the down position. So that's the way it should be when you put it back in the car, like such. So that's about it. Can't continue today. I'll go ahead and put the woodruff key in the back. Okay, I put the hub back on the generator. I also put half of the front pulley back on with the woodruff key. I had a hard time getting this pulley off of the other generator. I had to heat this hub and pry it off with 2 screwdrivers. You might run into that sometimes, usually you don't. So I put some anti-seize on the shaft that the hub slides on. Also put anti-seize on the threads on both ends of the generator, so they won't have a problem next time. I also wrote the date on the bottom of the generator, so I have a reference in case something happens to it unforeseen. Now I had 2 shims on here when I took it off. I thought I had 1, but they were stuck together. So I'm going to take some grease and put it on the shims like so. This will stick them together. And it will also make them stick to the hub so they don't fall off when I'm putting it back into the fan house. Okay, now we'll put the generator back in. Put the fan back on the hub. Now remember, we had 1 spacer and the big spring washer that goes in the back will go on the back of the fan, and then the nut. We lubricated the nut so that it turns easy on this spring washer. This is a very heavy spring washer that holds the fan on. Okay, they're in place. Now I'll put the nut back on loosely. And when you put the nut on, be sure that the washer engages the elongated part on the back hub. You don't want that to be misaligned. So run your nut up till it's almost touching the washer, and make sure that washer is engaged on the hub correctly. Now I'll put the 4 bolts back in that hold the shroud to the fan housing. Put the generator hold down strap back on. Then we'll tighten the back nut. Then I'll show you how to polarize your generator to make sure it's going to work the first time that you start the car. Now a little trick I use to get those bottom bolts started. I have a 10mm ratcheting wrench, and I put the bolt into the wrench and put it down in there. Then I keep pressure against the head of the bolt with another wrench or a screwdriver till I get it started, because it turns too easily and won't start unless you put some pressure against the head of the bolt, so you can get access to those two bottom bolt holes. Otherwise it's a real bitch. Before you tighten your clamp down all the way, spin the generator, make sure it's not rubbing inside the fan housing. Once you tighten the back nut and tighten this down and start the engine, it may rub a little bit. 99% of the time you can just grab the top of the fan housing and push it back and forth. Give it a shove forward, see if the rubbing goes away. If not, give it a pull in the opposite direction, and the little bit of rubbing that you have will disappear. You may even have to loosen your hold down clamp and physically move the generator to get rid of the rubbing. If you can't get rid of it, you probably put the shims back in wrong that space the fan from the housing. So be careful when you take it apart. And remember how many shims went where. The original shim setup will usually be correct.